Wherever you are. So this session we are going to talk about the different integration patterns that you can use with Dynamics 365 customer engagement, and obviously Power Apps and Dataverse, because everything is of the same concept. Okay, so this is I myself. This is Michael Richard. As Sashi gave an intro, I am a fast track recognized solution architect. I'm also a community citizen for Odisha Power Platform group user group. So as a community citizen from Microsoft, and you can see my LinkedIn profile. Please feel free to connect, and we can post any queries or anything if you have about this session or anything else. Okay, so we'll start. So it's a very crisp session. We have 45 minutes. So we are trying to utilize it at the max. So we will give an overview, of all the common integration patterns, and wherever possible, I'll try to give you a demo um, based on the time we have. I have set up certain things already so that we can save some time. So maybe if I cannot give you step-by-step demo, I'll just quickly show what has been done, right? So this is the agenda. So we'll start introduction, which is already done about our own people who are part of this platform, and then we go ahead with the integration patterns, and then a small demo, followed by a discussion. And in the discussion, I have some scenarios which I believe we can take it as a discussion, and we can put our thoughts on how to design the integrations, right, for particular requirements. That's how I want it to be, and I want the session to be more of a discussion. So I would like to throw questions, so please feel free to answer them, share your suggestions, because there is not one right answer, right? There are many ways you can design a solution. So please feel to be engaged in the session, so that will be useful for everyone. Okay. So the first thing is we need to understand what is integration, right? So integration is nothing but connecting more than one system, right? So why do we need to do all these connections? Why we need to bring all these systems together? It's very simple. We cannot have a single system with all the data, right? Because technology is only limited. It cannot have all the different kinds of data in the same system due to various parameters, right? So it can be because of the technological limitations. It can be because of how the UI is. It can be because of how the performance is going to be, or how secure it needs to be, and who has to access, and all these things. So we have lots of system in an enterprise. Let's say we have something called ERP. We have something called for CRM. Then you have something called document management system like SharePoint, OneDrive, and then you also have something for the connectivity, right? Networking. All these things are there. So how we need to get all these data together is what we are going to see with respect to Dynamics 365 CE or Power Apps, Power Platform. Okay. So what I have done is I've classified all these common integration patterns into three different topics. One is a user interface integration, and another one is a data integration, and finally the process integration. So what is this user interface integration? So user interface integration is nothing but you already have an UI from Power Apps or Dynamics 365 CE, where you need to put another UI from a different system and show that data here, right? So basically one UI on top of another, or basically having one UI working seamlessly with another system. That's what is called as user interface integration, which is a very this is usually a easier way of integrating systems, where you can just show the data from another system in Dynamics 365 CE or Power Apps. Okay, so before I go ahead, so can anyone tell me any basic ways of how we can show an UI of another system in CE or Power Apps? Anyone?
So now if you use latest, we can use Canvas.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one way. Canvas app is one way. So similarly, So with the new versions that has come up with Dynamics 365 and Power Apps, you have lots of new features coming up. So if you remember, and if people who have joining this Odisha community group for the past few months, they would have definitely seen custom page creation in the previous session, right? I think one of our speakers showed that, which was very nice. That is also one more way of showing the UI, right? So I have classified this particular set of UI integration patterns into different categories. Okay, so first one is Canvas app, as Abhi rightly said, it's Canvas apps. But Canvas apps also is now using a concept of custom pages. So you can create a custom page where you can bring your own Canvas app and show it over there, right? So both are same. And then you have Power BI. Then you can embed your Bing Maps, Azure Maps, all those things as well. Web resources and iframes. This is something we have been seeing it from the earlier versions of Dynamics 365. And of course, you have Power Apps Control Framework. So, how Power Apps Control Framework can get the data from other systems, how it can be used for integrations, that question might occur because people will think like it's just a control. I will just click, show the same field that is already there in Dynamics form and in a different way, but actually you can do lots of other things with the power of control framework as well. For example, let's say you have an address finder in Singapore or in UK, wherever it is, there will be some address finder API that is available outside. So you just enter the postcode and the address will be automatically populated. So this you can build it in your Power Apps control framework itself. Just create a simple integration with your control and it will bring your data there. So if you go to the Power Apps gallery control portal, you can see lot of address finder like this. So we just Google it and search whenever you get some time, you will see lot of things. Then we have something called channel integration framework, and then finally unified service desk, right? So what I will do, I'll show a sample of whatever I can create. I can show you, and then I will talk about the remaining items, which I cannot show you due to technical limitations, because certain things we need different systems to show a demo, right? So I'll plan like that. Okay. So first, let me, yeah. Okay. So I have a simple trial instance. Okay. So you can see it's just a Dynamics 365 sales hub, nothing major that has been done. So first thing is about the embedded Power Apps or embedded Canvas apps and the custom page, right? So how you will do it? So first you need to go to the app. You will edit the app. So we will go with the new version which was showed last time, right? So what you will do, you will create a custom page here. Okay, so we'll click Add Page, and here you will choose Custom, and here you have to choose your existing Power App, right? So I already created a simple Power App, Canvas app. Okay, so you can choose one of this and automatically the Canvas app will show up here in this list. So what I have done is I have created a simple Canvas app and I added it already to my app, to my sales hub. So you can see it here. This is called my contacts Canvas app. I have just listed down all the contact records in this particular UI. So this is one way of how a Canvas app can be embedded into Dynamics 365 Sales Hub, right? So how there are multiple scenarios or requirements where you can actually use this kind of embedding. So for example, in one of our implementations, there was a requirement where the customer want to create the team members and share records on the fly, but they don't want to go to multiple views and multiple screens and do all those things, right? And all those logic should also be based on how much time they are going to spend in the system. So for example, people are working in shifts, right? So they will come in and say like, I'm going to work for 4 hours today. So they will enter the timing saying that I will enter 4 hours. In 4 hours, please assign me whatever cases you have, right? That like that they will give the filter criteria. Then based on that, automatically logic will run behind the scenes, which will pick up some cases based on the complexity that is already assigned to the case and add it to that person's queue. So for this, a simple Canvas app was built for one of our implementations where they will choose where they will give the timings for their shift, and the complexity and their skill set, and based on that, when they click the next button, it will automatically do the assignment behind the scenes. So like that, you can do lots of other functionalities where you feel that the UI of model driven app is not able to give you what you need to do that particular process, right? So that's what a canvas app is. You can draw whatever you want on the canvas app, and then you can paste it in this Dynamics 365 sales app. Okay, so just go ahead whenever you have a trial environment, try it out. Open an app, edit the app, go to add page and choose custom and select the app that you already created. Okay, I hope you all, most of you will know how to create a Canvas app, so I'm not going to touch this point. Let's stick to integration here. Okay, so this we saw Canvas app. The next one is about Power BI, right? So we know Power BI. It's not a very complex thing. You can just go to your Power BI, log into your Power BI. You'll have something called workspace, right? And you can create whatever you want, a new report, page knitted report, dashboard, data set, everything. Or like that, lots of things are there. What I did was I created a simple Excel file, right? It's always easy to create an Excel file. So I created a simple Excel file with all this data, right? First name, last name, a very simple data. Then I loaded and then I created a simple uh, data set. Okay, you can see book data set. So I only created book data set. That is again very easy. Just click new, go to data set here, and here you will see a lot of ways from where you can create the data set. So you can see easily here that I will click files, right? So I'll click files. So I'm storing my file in my OneDrive business only. So I'll click this and it will automatically show the file that I already uploaded. Okay, select the file. So based on the file, Power BI will automatically create the data set. Okay, so if you click connect, a data set will be created. Nothing more is required to get this done. So I already created the data set. Let's go here. Okay, so now data set is available. If I want to embed something of Power BI into Power Apps or Dynamics 365 CE, first I need to create a dashboard or a report, right? So how will we do that? So we need to create a report from this data set. Again, click new report, right? So you click a new report, and in the report, you have to choose a publish data set. So this is my data set. Click create, pick any visual that you want. Okay, and choose whatever fields that you want in your data set. Okay, let's say that by country, I want to show the split up of all the people, right? My contacts. So I'll just put this here and I'll easily see my data set report. So now my report is ready. The thing is, you have to add this report to a dashboard. Only then you can show the dashboard in your Power BI, in your Dynamics 365 CE or Power Apps. Okay. So what you need to do is click this pin button. When you click pin, it will ask you, first you need to save the report. So let me save the report. Okay, so when you click pin, it will ask you whether you want to pin it to a existing dashboard or a new dashboard. Okay, so we can click new dashboard and give a dashboard name. So this will give you a sample dashboard. Click pin. And now your dashboard is created. So if you go to your My Workspace, you can see your dashboard already created. This is your report and this is your dashboard, right? So now our next step is to go to Dynamics 365 CE or Power Apps and embed the dashboard. Simple. Okay, so you'll click here, new Power BI dashboard. So sometimes you might not be able to see this new Power BI dashboard icon, this link, because first you need to enable this Power BI dashboard in your system. So how will you do that enabling? So you can go to your admin.powerplatform.com, powerplatform.microsoft.com. So this is why I prefer keeping everything loaded so that we don't waste time on all these things, right? Okay, so anyway, I missed this page. So just go to the environment that you want, and then you have something called settings, right? So you click settings here, and in your settings, you can just search for Power BI embedding. Okay, Power BI visualization embedding, and just turn this one on. Once you turn it on, save it, then go and refresh your app. After that, you will see this link. Okay, so now click Power BI dashboard. So what happens is this Dynamics 365 CE using its credentials and using its a tenant, it will automatically connect to the Power BI of that particular tenant, of that particular service, and show you what is there in that particular tenant. Okay, so let me just log in. Okay, so this is something that I'm getting in some of the browsers. So I created a separate browser here once again. Okay, so the difference what I did was this is my personal browser, so it is logged in with my personal account, and this one is my organization browser. So I have a separate profile for one of my Azure tenants, personal Azure tenants. So this is already synced with it. So automatically it took that login and showed me the workspace. Okay, so you can see the workspace, you can see my dashboard. So we created the dashboard called sample dashboard, right? So click sample dashboard, enable for unified client, and then click save. Okay. So yeah, so you can see lots of dashboards like this, right? So this is one more way of embedding the information into Dynamics 365 CE, which will give you your user interface integration. Okay. The next one that we saw was web resources and iframe. That is very simple, right? You can put a simple web resource with JavaScript, iframe query, and put it into your form. Or even here, you can create a simple dashboard, and in your dashboard, you can say like it's an iframe. So that is also possible. Okay, so you click this one. Yeah, sorry, this one. So you click iframe here, and you can give the URL of the iframe. So this is straight away you put it into a dashboard, or you can create a simple web resource with the URL and everything, and then show that web resource into your form as well. I think these are something that is there from earlier versions of Dynamics, so I don't have a demo for that. But please try it out. If you have any queries, you can ping me or post to me. Okay, so we'll go back. So we have seen many items till now. So we have seen how to embed a custom web page using Canvas app and then Power BI. Bing Maps is also automatically possible out of the box. You can just go to account entity in a trial version. You will see the Bing Maps enabled. Web resource iframes, and then Power Apps Control Framework. I don't have a demo right now, but you should be able to see this. Just go to PCF Gallery. You will see a lot of nice Power Apps controls, right? But of course, you need to be a bit cautious on what you're trying to use. You need to try it out if everything is working fine, and then use it. Okay, so this is PCF Gallery. You can see lots of Power Apps control, which you can take it and use it. I'm pretty sure there is something called address finder. So you can see lots of address finders here. These are all integrations, UI integrations by connecting to an API, right? So address API, autocomplete, Bing address, autocomplete, lots of things are there, UK address. Only thing is you just need to test it out, because sometimes it might be using a third party API, which you need to get some license, or sometimes you might need to understand whether there's any privacy or security issue with the control, and what is the support available for the control. Like that, lots of things are there. So please evaluate all those things and then choose a control and use it in your implementation. Okay, so next one is channel integration framework. So this is a quite of a big topic, right? So what is a channel integration framework? So before we go to channel integration framework, let's take a very simple scenario which is used in many projects. Of course, many of you would have also implemented in many of your implementations, which is your computer telephony integration, right? So what is this computer telephony integration? So basically, let's say that you are calling um Domino's, right? Domino's Pizza. So you're calling Domino's Pizza, and I think Domino's is a wrong example because Domino's doesn't have this. Maybe I'll take Pizza Hut, right? So Pizza Hut, you're calling Pizza Hut and saying that I placed an order, I need some help, something. You change want to change order. The moment you call Pizza Hut, automatically they will say that, hi sir, this Pizza Hut. Please tell me. I know that you placed an order. This is your name, this is the order, let me know what change you want, right? For example. So how this happens, right? How they are able to identify the right person just by the phone call that they are getting. So this is how the IVR, the telephony, and the computer is all integrated, right? So computer or your server or your database has the information about the order placed and the phone number that you gave for the order, right? Your telephony system, which also has the required IVR if you need, that will tell you what telephone number is calling you, right? That will give you the number of the person who is calling. So now this number has to be sent to the database that you have, and automatically this linking should happen. We should show the information to the agent saying that this person, Michael, has called from this particular number, and this is the order he placed recently, right? So this is very simple. You have a computer, you have a database in that, you have a telephony, which is your telephony provider. These two people are integrating. That is computer telephony integration. Very simple logic, right? So how this happens, right? So because database doesn't know telephone signals, right? Because telephone signals is not about, it's not, earlier I know that now it is all voice over IP, but in normal usage, it's not just data signals, right? It will be more of electric currents, right? So if you guys worked in ECE or triple E, studied from that part, you would know how these digital signals are being processed, right? So that's how it is. So now how this conversion, how this mapping happens, and how this integration happens. So for that, we need a API. Obviously, you need an API interface which has to be sitting in between the database, your computer, and the telephony. Simple. So this is provided by your channel integration framework. So channel integration framework is nothing but a set of API which is built on top of your database. Okay, so here in our case, channel integration framework is a set of APIs that is built on top of Dynamics 365 customer engagement. That's it. Okay, so you can see this very clearly here. Technically speaking, Dynamics 365 is just a set of APIs that enable developers and partners to build an immersive communication experience. Okay, so now I have the API. Telephone is there. Telephone is a digital signals. You have your API, electric and digital signals, then you have the API. Now what will connect and how it will show up in the UI by processing these signals and also connect to the channel integration framework. You need some medium, right? So what I'm trying to say is you got the signals from the telephony. You need to process the signals and then say that this is the person, this is the phone number that is calling, and then send the phone number to the channel integration framework, right? So that is where your soft phone come into place. What is soft phone? Nothing. Hard phone means you have telephone on your desk. If it's soft phone, you don't have telephone on your desk. It is in your laptop or in your desktop, right? So you have a place where you can dial your numbers. You will see the incoming calls that you are getting, right? It's simple. It can be a simple Skype for business, MS Teams, or it can be much more advanced, right? Like for example, Genesis 8 by 8, right? So all these people, they have their own soft phones which you can install in your laptop or a desktop, and that soft phone will be connected to their telephony network. Okay, that's what is required. So as you can see here, we need three things. One is channel integration framework, another one is your telephony, right? Telephony system, and third one is your soft phone. Okay, if you have all these three things, you can build this entire computer telephony integration. Okay, so now for this to work, Dynamics 365 CE, Microsoft has given two versions of channel integration framework. One is version 1.0, another one is version 2.0. Okay, so though it's said as version 1, version 2, it doesn't mean that you cannot use version 1, and it doesn't mean that version 2 is what you need to use every time, right? Both you can use both the versions. There's nothing wrong. It depends on what license you have and what functionality you are planning to use in your project, right? For example, version 1 will be suitable for single session apps. Version 2 is suitable for multi-session apps. So what is the single session multi-session? So if you go to a typical call center, right, the call center agent will not be working on single case, right? So for example, you go to Amazon, you are contacting the customer service, right, in chat. So that person is not chatting with you alone. He will be handling multiple chat windows. Whenever you give a response, he will reply to that, right? So that's how it happens. So when an agent is handling multiple chats or multiple customers at the same time, it becomes multi-session. Simple, right? That's what these apps do. These apps help you to create multi-session in your browser itself so that each session can be dedicated to a particular customer, right? So now I said chat, right? But in my example, I gave telephony. So basically, channel integration framework can tap into any type of channel. It can be telephony, it can be chat, it can be WhatsApp, it can be SMS, right? So or even Twitter. So all these things can be connected by the channel integration framework. And if you use a multi-session app at a single point of time, an agent can connect with multiple customers. Okay, so that's the only difference between version 1 and version 2, single session and multi-session apps. Okay, so now we'll go to the next slide, which is basically a simple architecture diagram of the components that I told you till now, right? So one is Dynamics 365, which we know. Then we have the channel integration framework that also I mentioned. And then you have the communication widget. This is nothing but your soft phone. And then you have your telephony channel provider. And of course, these things will work together in your multi-session or your single session app. Okay, this is the entire architecture that you need for implementing CTI. Okay, so any questions till now? Okay, so let me go to the next slide then. Yes, Golak, you have some questions.
Yeah, I posted. Actually, currently, let's say I just want to discuss in this scenario. Maybe it will be helpful for others also. So I have a scenario. Let's Genesis integrated
Mm-hmm,
using CIF 1.0 with Dynamics
mm-hmm,
365. Okay, so for the CTI call feature, now
mm-hmm.
Genesis also has their Genesis Cloud, which
Yeah,
is providing omni-channel features. So
yes.
I want to integrate those features. Now, whether I need to go for CIF 2.0, means whatever implemented earlier CIF 1.0, I
Mm.
need to redo those in using CIF 2.0, or I can just continue with exist new features like omni-channel one using CIF 2.0.
So first of all, whether you go to CAF 1.2 or 2.2 is not based on whether it is Genesis Cloud or Genesis Omnichannel feature and all those things, right?
Mm,
That
mm,
1.2, 2.2 is based on how your agent want to use Dynamics 365 and how they are connecting with your client.
correct.
So, so if they are saying that I need a multi-session app, then obviously you need to go for omni-channel. And if they are saying that I need to have multiple chats, everything connected, and I can work on all these things at the same time, then go with omni-channel. Because the CAF 1.0 and 2.0 can connect with any API, whether it is Genesis Cloud or Genesis Omnichannel. The framework is same. API
Okay.
framework of CAF is same. It is
Okay.
only that how many things can be done parallelly. Because if you go for omni-channel, you will have an additional license cost,
Correct.
right? Customer service hub will be a different license cost. Omni-channel will be a
Yes.
different license cost. That is what you need to prioritize. It's not based on whether it is Genesis Cloud or Genesis Omni-channel.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question? Was it correct?
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So this is a
Hey,
simple example.
Mike,
Yes.
one question, Mike.
Yes,
See,
Krishna.
with the online limitation, right, on the API limitation, connecting with omni-channel, how, what is the limitation here, or what should we consider here?
Limitation in the sense what APIs can connect and all these things.
No, see, you have a cap on API limit, right, with
Ah,
D365C.
okay, okay. API limits, limitations. Okay.
Ah,
See,
so when you connect with omni-channel, right? So because I'll tell
mm,
you, we had a scenario with ticket booking.
mm,
So
mm,
you might land up with millions of tickets getting booked from different areas.
yeah.
So CRM doesn't support that frequency, right? So do they have
Yes.
any limitation or how it's going to be like?
So if the limit goes beyond what is purchased by your license, you need to go for additional API entitlement.
So Microsoft is providing it.
Yeah, you need to purchase API entitlement. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm pretty sure you would have done that, Krishna.
No, actually, we tried that point of time. I mean, just the cloud was getting on peak. So they said
Okay,
that
okay.
you will have multiple tenants available in single server, right? So they
Yeah,
said
yeah.
they can't increase the cap. So
So yeah,
maybe.
so there are two ways. Okay, so one is your API limit and another one is your API entitlement. Okay, so if you
Mm,
give a case to them saying that I have these many incoming requests, which is creating a performance issue and it's going beyond the limit that you're giving me, you have to give a business case to Microsoft and Microsoft will analyze it, and based on the analysis, they will suggest you whether you need to go to a different separate tenant, individual tenant, or whether they can increase the number of servers that you have. That is one way. Second way is obviously you
mm.
can go for API entitlement, which is available as an add-on that you can purchase.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Okay, so this is a simple screen. Again, I can't show you the CTI as a demo because you need the telephone provider and everything, right? So I just took a screenshot from our MS Docs site. So when you set up the CTI and everything, you can see a small window where you can see the soft phone. So you can see the soft phone on the right hand side, where the left hand side is your Dynamics 365 CE, right? So whenever you get a call, you will get all the prompts, and when the soft phone wants to open a customer record, that will also open it automatically, right? All those things will happen here. Okay. So the next one is Unified Service Desk. Again, I don't have it installed. I think people who have been in Dynamics will know about this Unified Service Desk for a long time. It has been there. Right now, I know there are many upgrades and it is now using the Edge, Microsoft Edge framework and everything. So what is this Unified Service Desk? Unified Service Desk is basically for the agents, mostly for the call center agents who is dealing with multiple systems, right? So for example, they have an ERP, they have let's say a document management system, a payroll system, or a separate case management system like BPM online or whatever it is, right? So they want to have a single UI which can display Dynamics 365 along with other systems, right? And have a easy to use interface. Instead of them jumping between windows, they will just use the tabs that is already here, right? So that is where Unified Service Desk comes in. It's a desktop application where you can configure flows in the sense task flows between different apps, and you can make it easier to use for the agents, right? So there are some this is one way of getting the UI integration done, because you can have multiple apps and you can change the UI of how the Dynamics Unified Interface app also looks like. Okay. So we'll go to the next one, which is a data integration, right? So data integration is basically bringing the data. So till now we saw that we will just show the UI of another app or another application in Dynamics 365 CE or Power Apps. But the second one is the most important one, where we are going to bring the data. So, how you can bring the data. There are many ways, multiple ways, right? So first we have this virtual entities, which is basically you create a simple entity as virtual entity. Then you use a OData provider, maybe a URL or something, and get the data in a read-only mode and store it here. Of course, there is some new updates to this feature where you can do some basic operations like create or update. Personally, I haven't tested that, but this is one feature which you can use. Again, personally speaking, I have not used virtual entities in any of my projects. I hope if anyone is here who have used it, please feel free to share your experience. And then the next one is the plugin, right? External API. So this is a very common scenario that most of you would have used. So for example, in the last session, I think it was Venkata who helped us on how to hook onto Azure Service Bus, right? So from a plugin, you can easily create a webhook and connect to a webhook and post the messages. That is one way of doing it. And there are other scenarios also. Basically, apart from Azure Service Bus, there will be some other middleware, right? You have Apache, ActiveMQ, you have TIBCO, like that. Lots of enterprise middlewares are there where you need to post a message, right? Then plugins will be definitely useful. So from a plugin, you just need to connect to that API and post a simple message. That's something that you can use. I think there is already a demo given in the previous session. Please feel free to check that. Service bus messages, again, as I said, we can connect that service bus messages. Again, that was a demo last session. Please feel free to check that. Then finally, data flows, right? So data flows is a very new concept, not very new, but yeah, it's a concept of Power Platform, which is actually a very powerful concept that you can use not just for simple integration. It can also be used for your data migration, data import, everything, right? So it's a very powerful concept because it uses the Power Query editor of your Power BI. So if you have worked at Power BI, you know that there is something called Power Query, where you can get the data from multiple sources, put lots of transformation logics, right? Write your own queries, go merge columns, append columns, everything, and get the data, transform it, and then put it into a Dynamics 365 table, right? So for this particular example, since this is a very nice topic, and I'm a big fan of this particular thing. I have created a very simple data flow. Okay, so again, I use this Excel, simple Excel, right? You can use any data source, Azure Data Lake, any on-premise system as well, right? So if you use the on-premise data gateway and all these things, you can use on-premise system as well. But in my example, I'm using a very simple data source, which is the Excel. Okay, so again, so there is a small limitation in this. So you need to create a data flow from your organization attached or organization logged in laptop only. If you use from a personal laptop, sometimes it throws authentication errors. So again, this is my personal machine, and I have the organization attached in my browser. Okay, so how will you create it, right? So this is my SharePoint, this organization SharePoint, where I have my same Excel. So you need the URL of this Excel, right? So let's say that you go to this Excel, and you will see a lot of queries here, right? Lot of things are here, but very simple. What you need to do is you need to get the file URL without all these additional parameters. You don't need all these things, okay? So very easy way to do it is just go back. This is your site, your SharePoint site. So you know what is a SharePoint site, right? You put the site name. So I have just given an example also here. So this is how your SharePoint site will start. Right, it will start with sites, and then you put the site name. So here my site name is site, and let's say you have a library, right? In SharePoint, you have something called library. In the library, you will store all your documents. So for me, I'm using the default library. The default library internal name is shared documents. Okay, so just take this, and then finally the file name. If you have another folder, you have to put that folder name also here. Okay, so this is the URL that you are going to use. Okay, this will be entirely different from the URL that you are seeing in the browser when you open the file directly. Okay, lots of things will be there. This will not work for you in data flow. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Mike. Just
Yes,
time
Shashi.
check. So we have already 11:14, so we can increase for 10-15 minutes.
Okay. Okay, excellent. So this will be the last demo, I think. Other things I will quickly go ahead. Okay, so now go to Power Apps. So there are two ways you can do a data flow. One is you go to a solution, open an entity, right? So you click an entity. Let's say I have an entity called my. Okay, I have an entity here. You click an entity, and in the entity you will have something called get data. Okay, so click get data here, and this will open the data flow. Okay, there's one way of doing it, which will move the data flow with the solution. I know that there are some limitations in how the data flows can be moved from one environment to another environment. So when you do this data flow, just take care of the deployment procedures alone. Okay. So for now, I'll just show this again due to lack of time. I already created one data flow. Okay, so I'll just show you the first step. So click this new data flow. You will have start from blank, import template, all these things. So just click new data flow. Give your data flow name, sample data, create, and now you will get lot of sources. Okay, so when you start the data flow, you have to choose only one data source here. You can choose only one data source, but once you go into the Power Query editor, you can choose any number of data flows. Okay, just like how we do it in Power BI, right? Similarly, so for now you can just click Power Excel workbook, give the URL that we copied, and make sure the connection is all set up correctly. Okay, organizational account, Odisha account, user, and all these things. Click next, which will then load the data from the Excel and show you a very simple table. Okay, so this is your Power Query data source set. Sorry, selection screen. And once you click transform data, you will get your Power Query editor. Okay, so what I will do, I'll open my one that I already created from this particular step because it's same. Okay, let me yeah. So this is your Power Query editor, which you can see in Power BI also, right? It's very simple. So I have my table loaded. You can do any type of any sort of transformation here. Like for example, if you want to add a conditional column, right, based on a particular logic, all those things I have done. So I also have one more example where I used data flow. Basically, what they wanted is the customer wanted is we need to load all the employee data from a external source. Okay, but when we load the external source employee data, we just need to make sure some of the preferences that the employee has given in that Power App, right, that should not be updated. Okay, that should remain as it is. So what we can do is you can go to this get data, right, and add one more source here. So I used a web API source to connect to the Dynamics 365 instance. So here you can give your Dynamics 365 instance and I connect to that instance. So let me quickly try to do that, right? Yeah, so give that instance, organizational account, sign in. Okay, this URL will not work. We need to give the OData URL. Okay, so the OData URL will be okay. So this is something you might know. Sorry, this is something we might know already, right? This is your OData web API URL, right? So you go to web API and let's say we need contacts, right? So this is what we do. We give contacts and we get all the contacts here. Now take this URL, go to our web API stuff, give this, change it to organizational account, sign in. So now what will happen is it will bring the data in a OData format itself, in the OData JSON format itself. We need to add some transformation to make it into multiple tables. Okay, there are some 4 to 5 steps that we need to do, and we can get a table. So now once the table is ready, in the same Power Query, we have two tables, right? First is the source table, second is the existing table, existing data. Both we have got. Now you can put all your merge queries, append queries and everything, get the data merged, and then load it into Dynamics 365. Okay, so if this takes time, I will just click cancel and show you the next steps, but let's give a minute. Okay, so this is taking time, but due to time constraints, I will let it be. I'll open in a different tab, right? So I'll show you the other things. Yeah, so let it load, but meanwhile I will show you the other steps in the other tab. If it loads before our session closes, I'll show you that. Okay, so now you got the data in your Power Query, you did all the transformations. Okay, then what you need to do is click next, and in this window you can say whether you want to map it to an existing table, existing columns, and whether you want to delete the data that is already in Power Apps but not in the source. All those things you can do it here. Okay, so if you click reset load settings, you can see all these things: load to new table, existing table, do not load, everything. You can select what table you have. Let's say that you want to create a new table automatically based on the data mapping, that also we can do, right? Destination table, everything, and you can choose the collection mapping. Once it is done and you click publish, so this is for your data import, right? So let's say you have very complex data import where you need to do a lot of transformations. Instead of doing everything in an Excel and then loading it here, you just load the direct data in an Excel and then do the transformation Power Query, because Power Query will be very, very fast, and you can use the transformation steps for any Excel data that you are going to place it in the same location, right? So it will be very easy for you. And let's say that you want to repeat it multiple times, you go click here, there will be something called refresh settings, and here you can change it to refresh automatically, and you can select whether it is days, hours, weeks, like that you can do. And you can also send a failure notification. Okay, so this is something you can use which will help you to do a data integration, whether it is pushing or pulling data, and also for refreshing information. Okay, and then you have export to data lake, which is nothing but your initially we had something called data export service. Now that is called legacy data export service. Now we have something called export to data lake, which you can see in your Power Apps by going to this link called Azure Synapse. Okay, so if you have Azure Data Lake, you can automatically connect it using this Azure Synapse link and export the data, okay, as required. Then you have other third-party tools, so Kingsway Soft, Scribe. So even using Kingsway Soft, you can do the syncing mechanism between databases. Kingsway Soft provides all the steps where you can do the syncing. So you no need to rely only on export to data lake Azure Synapse. You can also use Kingsway Soft, where Kingsway Soft will take the data from Dynamics 365 CE and post it to an on-premise database, and it will sync the data, right? So these things is also possible. Just go to Kingsway Soft website and search for the syncing if you want any information. It is possible. We have done that for one of the client. It worked perfectly. Okay. And then finally, we have the process integration, right? So the process integration, I kept it separately because this is something that you already know. So I'm not going to show any demo. I'll just tell the topics here. So Power Automate, you already know, you can do any sort of process bridging multiple systems, right? Any legacy system, modern system, SharePoint, or even any other ERP, FO, Salesforce, SAP, everything you can connect using connectors from Power Automate. Similarly for Logic Apps, of course, Power Automate is based on Logic Apps. So if Power Automate can do, Logic Apps can do. Azure Functions App Service, last time this was covered in the session. Dual write. So dual write is another concept where it can take the data from FO and push it into CE, and from CE to FO. Basically, whatever data you enter in customer engagement, it can flow to FO, and you can also do the reverse. You just need to set up the mapping and everything. That's one more thing. Customer Insight. Customer Insight is nothing but a set of Power BI dashboards, which is available as a separate product. It can hook into Dynamics 365 CE and give lots of insights about your customer. So it's not that customer insights, there are different kinds of insights as well, sales insights, right? Customer service insights. So just explore it, it will be useful. Inbound APIs is nothing but you create custom actions, right? There is something called custom actions, which is a new feature, which is on top of the existing actions, right? So you can create your own API methods and you can expose it, and you can even register plugins on the method. All those things are possible. So these things help you to manage the process between different systems, right? And of course, you have the other parts of your Power Platform, which is your Power App portals and virtual agent, right? So this is some of the integration ways that you can do. I also had some scenarios that you can think of how you want to design the system, but due to time constraints, we are not able to discuss these points. What I will do is I'll just copy the scenarios, I'll ping in the chat. You can just think about it and discuss what you need, and think how you can plan the integration based on various factors that we have. Okay, so that's the end from my side. Yes, Golak.
Yeah, hi. I think I have a lot of questions today. I have
Yes,
one
little
more
bit.
question actually.
Yes.
So let's say I want to consume the Teams presence. Okay, Microsoft
Okay.
Teams presence, because I want to do some operation based on the Teams presence. It's let's say my contact center allocation. If the
Mm-hmm.
agent is available, then you allocate. If not available, then don't allocate. Something like this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to consume using Microsoft Graph
Okay.
presence API. So
Mm-hmm.
if that is the case, that will fall under what category actually?
So first thing is this scenario you can do it via unified routing as well. You just need to enable the entity that you're going to use for unified routing. But since you said Graph API,
Hmm.
the Power Automate, you can use the HTTP connector, right?
Okay.
HTTP
Okay.
connector or Web API connector, and connect to the Graph API and get the data.
Okay. So except that Graph API, you told there is another option also because I think of this Graph API. So how to consume this
Unified
presence
routing.
unified?
Unified routing is a new feature that came in April 2021
Okay.
release wave. It is used to route the cases or any customer records to any queue or user based on their presence in the available busy and all these things, and also based on the skill set, the capacity and all those things. It's a huge topic.
Okay,
Just to explore,
I
it will
noted
be
that. Let me check this. Okay, thank you so much.
okay.
I think there
No
is one more
problem.
question from Akhil.
Thanks, Akhil. So I'm done. Sorry for taking extra, I think 17 minutes.
Yeah, never mind. It's quite interesting
I'll
actually.
stop sharing.
So a lot of new things, and it's a kind of end to end. People will have a feature like what are the options are there and how we can integrate with different scenarios. So yeah, it's really great actually. Then so we will not waste much time. Anyways, thanks, Mike. So Sasi, over to you.